Diaries.
Thank you.
Open your Bibles with me to the Gospel according to Luke. And as we go to that particular Gospel, let us look at chapter number 19. That's the Gospel according to Luke, chapter number 19. And when you get there, we're going to start with verse number 1, and you're going to see these words are something very similar. Jesus went on into Jericho and was passing through. There was a chief tax collector there named Zacchaeus, who was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but he was a little man and could not see Jesus because of the crowd. So he ran ahead of the crowd and climbed a sycamore tree to see Jesus, who was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, "Hurry down, Zacchaeus, because I must stay in your house today." Zacchaeus hurried down and welcomed him with great joy. All the people who saw it started grumbling, "This man has gone as a guest to the house of a sinner." Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Listen, sir, I will give half my belongings to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone, I will pay back 4 times as much." Jesus said to him, "Salvation has come to this house today, for this man also is a descendant of Abraham. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." Amen.
Amen.
This morning I want to preach from the subject, you looking for Jesus and Jesus looking for you.
Amen.
You looking for Jesus and Jesus looking for you. This story about Zacchaeus, who is one of my most recent favorite biblical characters. And as I found out more and more about him, I grew amazed about his presence in the biblical pages that we read. Zacchaeus was short in stature, and he was recognized by his size. And you know, I'm amazed how a lot of us, we recognize and we identify people by their size. You know, I'm being who I am, thinking they probably call it Shouty. What up, Shouty?
Yeah.
Little man. You know, it's amazing how we can see people, and based off of how they look or their size, we call a name. Slim!
Yeah.
Slim Boogie! You know, we'll make a name. Big man! You know, we make up names of a people, physical traits. I remember back in the day, Teddy Savalas was the only bald man I knew at the time. And if you were bald or had low hair, you called Kojak. You know, there's a high school, man, I hadn't thought about him in ages. There's a high school classmate that was bald when we back then, before it was cool, and we called him Kojak. You know, I'm not just thinking, how is it that we could just look at somebody and just give them a name that's not theirs? But on this particular day, as Jesus was passing through Jericho, he met a man named Zacchaeus. And this encounter was one of the most interesting narratives of the gospel because of the application it applied to with most people. See, Zacchaeus, he wasn't spectacular or anything like that. First of all, people don't really pay attention to short people anyway. You know, usually you short and you moving around the crowd, people elbow you, walk over you like they don't see you and stuff. You know, people, when you short, they don't just treat you like they treat everybody else. So he was short. He wasn't even a disciple. The Bible said he was a tax collector. But as we get into the lesson and we find out more, not only was he a tax collector, he was a chief tax collector. He was head of the Department of Revenue. He was Lynn Riley and Bart Graham and all them people who I used to work for back in the day. He was chief tax collector. And even though he was short in stature, chief tax collector, what was interesting though, that he heard about a man named Jesus. He heard about him. And, you know, I'm not sure, I want to believe that maybe he heard about him from one of his former employees. Matthew. And and I thought it was interesting that this story is told out of the Gospel of Luke instead of the Gospel of Matthew, who was the tax collector. And it was interesting because I share about how Matthew is being one of my favorite biblical writers because he was a tax collector and he had all these tax experience. And what it made me start understanding and thinking was, sometimes I believe Jesus, he can do whatever he want to do, but he do things in his own unique way. Because as Jesus was walking once a while back, he was walking along the shores of the sea, and he saw Matthew. And he called Matthew and told Matthew, come and follow me. And I'm just thinking, how you gonna come to my job and say, hey, let's go? Because that's basically what he did. Matthew was probably at work with his 10-key calculator, with his sundials on and his glasses, typing up tax reports and 1040 forms and all that, and Jesus walked by and said, hey, come go with me. So as Matthew left him, I could imagine Zacchaeus up on the top floor of the 20th floor building, looking out. Isn't that Matthew out there? Who's that Matthew walking out the building with? Don't you know you got work to do? So I'm probably, and this is my imagination, thinking that Zacchaeus probably thinking, who is that done came and took one of our employees, and Matthew walked out the door, I quit. And it just so I started thinking about Zacchaeus and how that might have been his first encounter with Jesus. The Bible don't tell us that in this particular text here, but what it does tell us that he knew about Jesus. And maybe that was it, or maybe he had some other co-workers or some other employees who talked about Jesus. Jesus was the one who came and took Matthew from us. Because we going to talk about people as employees. We going to talk about how people quit and how people got fired from their jobs. He got fired on his day off on a Friday. We remember how people leave work. But here it is, the Bible tells us about Zacchaeus wanting to see Jesus. Now, what would make this man who's over this great group of employees leave his building and run out to see Jesus? I'm picturing that if Zacchaeus worked in a building, anything like the one I worked in, and he's sitting up on the top floor, could he just look out his window and saw Jesus? Because they were in Jericho. Jericho is pretty much like maybe New York or Atlanta. It was a city that was one of those influential cities that had all kind of trades and all kind of people there. And it was one of those hustling and bustling type of cities. So when I'm thinking about Zacchaeus running out trying to find a place to see Jesus, it makes me think about how we do when we get ready to go downtown to celebrate the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl victory parade, other parades that we see downtown. You know how when we have those parades, everybody run and everybody try to get one of the good spots on the parade along the route. It's amazing how you always want to be in position to see somebody who's passing by so you can get a good look at them. But what's also interesting was Jesus going by and going through a place to see somebody who didn't know that he was coming to be seen. Can you imagine you on a parade route to see somebody and that person come and tell you, President Obama, you going down to see him in a parade, and he come by and say, Johnny, I'm coming to your house today, hurry up, let's go. President Obama coming to see you. And that's still not a big enough picture to tell the story about how big it was for Zacchaeus, that not only that Jesus called him out by name, his real name. It's nothing like being called your real name among people who don't give you a nickname that you don't forget your real name. There are some people, when you hear their real name, who is that? Because we've called them by their nickname for so long, you don't even know who they were. I bet people looking around, Zacchaeus? Who Jesus talked to? Zacchaeus, who is that? So Jesus calls out Zacchaeus from the crowd, tells him to hurry up. And in the King James Version, King James used a word that my great-granddad used to use, make haste. He said, make haste and come down out of the tree. I'm amazed how some of us, when we want to see something, the lengths we go to see it. We would go through some length to see something that we really want to see. We would take off work. We would leave and drive in about 2 or 3 hours worth of traffic. We would go down and get on the train and rub elbows with a lot of people and complain. You know, if you ever gone down to watch a big event downtown, and if you had to ride MARTA, there are thousands and thousands of people that you have to be in the midst of. When you're driving, you're in gridlock traffic just to get somewhere to pay $50 to $100 a par to see somebody. You know, it's just amazing the length we go through to see somebody. The length you go through to get tickets to see somebody. You know, there are people on jobs crash their computers trying to get concert tickets to see somebody. So we go through great lengths to see what people would stand out in line and wait hours in the cold to get some tickets to see somebody they want to see. So I'm thinking about the great length that Zacchaeus went through to see Jesus. But this story piqued my interest because of taxes. And you know, and I started thinking about taxes because we did this tax workshop this weekend, and I was just thinking, since I was studying Zacchaeus, because I wanted to apply what taxes are today to biblical interpretation. And you know, it's interesting when it comes to the church and when it comes to our understanding of finances and taxes and things like that. You know, we don't always know the significance of it. Jesus used one of the most hated people in the city of Jericho at the time. A chief tax collector. Out of all the people, Jesus didn't ask to come to the bishop's house.
That's it.
He didn't ask to come to the governor's house. He didn't ask. I'm pretty sure the mayor and the governor was sitting up in the box and everything with all these people around them. You know, it reminded me of the movie not Deja Vu, with Gabrielle Union and Deliver Us from Evil. Anybody else see that movie, Deliver Us from Evil? And that was this guy, Eva's ex-boyfriend, and he was working for the mayor. And he all of a sudden wanted to see the mayor, and the mayor came in, he rushed up to the front to see the mayor, and all of a sudden the mayor saw LL Cool J's character and called him out because he was the meat man. And you know, and because he was the meat man, he delivered the highest quality of steak to him. The mayor remembered him and knew him. But this guy here just got hired by the mayor and was on the mayor's personal staff. And the mayor didn't know who he was. You know? So I'm just amazed how a lot of times people think that because of their position and title, Jesus will just automatically come looking for them, and Jesus might come looking for the meat man or the delivery driver, anybody else. So it's not our titles that Jesus come looking for. We looking for Jesus, and Jesus looking for us. You know, when I think about looking for Jesus and Jesus looking for us, I think about those who are lost. People, our families, our friends, our brothers and sisters who are lost, who hadn't found Christ yet. And you know, when I think about that, I think about how do we help people find Him. And you know, when people need Jesus and people looking for Jesus, it's not a nice song from the choir that they're looking for. You know, there are of us who will invite people, you need to come and hear our praise team. We got one of the best praise teams in town. And we invite people out to meet and hear our praise team and won't even introduce them to Jesus. We would tell people, we just built this brand new, beautiful edifice. You need to come and see it. Boy, it's 10,000 square feet. We sit on 20 acres of land, and we got all this office space and a kids' gym and all. You ought to come and see our beautiful sanctuary. And we're not introducing to Jesus. There are people who need to see Jesus and who need to meet Jesus, and we would invite, boy, you need to come hear my pastor. Boy, my pastor, he preached like Paul. My pastor, he can get that word and make that word make so much sense. Sometimes you get to preach and he's stepping on all my toes and make me feel the Spirit. And boy, you need to come and hear my pastor. But what they really need is to meet Jesus. So we have to realize that those people who we know in our life who are lost, they're not looking for the choir. They're not looking to see how many, who goes to your church, what mayor attend your church, and what big shot come to your church. They are looking for Jesus. I think back on sometimes when we look for stuff and it's right before our face. I remember there have been times that I've had, you know how you put your sunglasses up on top of your head, and I'm like, man, where my glasses at? You know, looking for them and everything, and I'm looking all over the place just for them to be on top of my head. I remember, you know, as a kid, have you ever had your kid to get lost before? When your kid get lost, and you're looking for your kid, don't you know your kid looking for you also? Because they're lost. And they have lost you, and you have lost them, and you all are searching for each other. I remember being in Publix and Walmart, and Tisa said, I'm going to go over here to this section, you go to that section. And then they think, you know, I'm looking, and I'm coming back, I'm like, man, where's she at? You know? So I'll go up each and down every aisle, and that been time she had just passed the aisle when I went down the aisle, and I'm like, man, you know, I got to walk through this whole store just to find her. So I get to a point, I say, you know what? I know she got to come back to the checkout counter, so I'm just going to go and prop right there in the center of the store at the checkout counter. And eventually she going to find me. When we are looking for Jesus, sometimes we have to find a place that we know Jesus is going to come back. The Bible said that Jesus was coming through Jericho. You know, Rome was a large, big metropolis type of city. I'm not sure if it was even a county, but Rome was a big metropolis area. But it was Jericho that Jesus was passing through. You know, there are a lot of places in Rome. You know, there's Athens and Greece and all those other places that make up that environment that Rome is in. But it was Jericho that Jesus was passing through. So when I think about being in the stores and instead of walking up and down all the aisles, let me go to the checkout right there in the center where I know she got to check out eventually. She got to come through here. There was this meme that went viral this week about this guy who had this poster board said, help me. My wife is in Target and she been in there a couple hours, and it was some crazy meme like that, and it went viral because, you know, most people could tell you, you know, when your spouse have a store that she loves to shop at, time is no object. You know, there's no limit to how long and how fast time can go by when they're in there. That's the reason I love these stores who have become men friendly. They'll have a TV in there for the men. They have some big old nice comfortable chairs for us to rest and have all the big old shopping bags on the side of us because you never know how long, but you know eventually they got to come back by there. I remember growing up, me and some friends of mine, we used to always have these little jokes and everything about how you see things and how you want to be in position. So I remember, I'm not sure what grade or anyway, but you know how you be in at your lockers and everything, and you see somebody and you want them to see you, so you go and stand by their locker, by the water fountain, by their locker, so they have to come by you and see you. You know, Zacchaeus, he knew that Jesus had to come by that path that he was on. So he said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go, and the beauty of being short. A tall, big person couldn't climb that sycamore tree like Zacchaeus did. See, when you're small and short, you can do things that big people can't do. You know, when you're out growing up in Carver Homes and you playing baseball out in the street and the ball rolled down in the sewer, when you're short, you the one who get to go down there and get the ball. You know, when you're out doing stuff and when you need to get up under the fence and get something, when you're a short person, you the one who can climb and put your hand up in there and get things. So, you know, there are benefits of being short and being small. So Zacchaeus being short and small, he said, you know what, I'm going to climb and get into a high position so I could see him. I thought that was synonymous. A small man climbed the tree to get into a high position. He was a short man that climbed the tax collector's ladder to become the chief.
All right now.
And I said, boy, that, you know, and Jesus, if you know anything about Jesus from what the Bible describes, and Jesus wasn't that big either. So, you know, it's something about when you're short and you see somebody shorter than you, you love to be around them. Come here, so you can look bigger. You know, not that Jesus needs to look bigger, but it's just something about when you're short and you're around a shorter person, you know, like, what up, little man? You know, you look down on him and everything. But not that Jesus looked down on Zacchaeus, but I just thought it was a significant story that he was small and he climbed a tall sycamore tree, and him being short, I could imagine when they were interviewing potential tax collectors. The tall, dark-skinned, good, thick hair, pretty white teeth probably got hired, and they were probably getting promoted, and then all of a sudden, when Zacchaeus started climbing the corporate ladder and became all boss, they were like, how did Zacchaeus become my boss? How did he get so high? You know, I went to Harvard, I went to Morehouse, I went to Spelman, I went to whatever school. How did Zacchaeus become the chief tax collector? Those same people how did Zacchaeus be the one that Jesus called out to come to his house? My house bigger than Zacchaeus' house. You know, I stay next door to the mayor. I stay next door to the... How did Zacchaeus be the one? How did you be the one to get blessed by Jesus? How did Jesus give you this? How did Jesus do that for you? How is it that you, the little person that Jesus came to bless? So this story had an impact on me. Not only for who Zacchaeus was, and what he did, and how Jesus picked him out of all the mobs of people that were at that parade. I said, wow, you know, when you look for Jesus, Jesus is looking for you. So I think about that, and I said, you know, we have to really start showing people what Jesus is, how to find him, how to position yourself to see Jesus when he's coming through. You know, we're looking for blessings, and we're waiting on miracles. And really, it's not the blessing we're looking for. It's not the miracle we're looking for. It's Jesus. We're looking for Jesus. And we who know what Jesus operates, we who know what Jesus like to hang out, we need to let people know. You know, when people get ready to go to a new town, what's the hot spots in town? What are happening at? What is going on at? That's what people do when they're looking for Jesus. Also, you know, what's a good church around town? Where can I come and feel the Spirit of the Lord at? You know, where's the Spirit moving at? You know, I want to get in the environment where we're getting Jesus' word, where we'll find out more about him. People want to know. People need to know, and we need to be ready to show them what Jesus is. One last thing about Zacchaeus. His name, when you look it up, means innocent. It means innocent. I thought that was interesting. His name meant innocent, but people thought of him as a crook because of his position.
That's it.
There are people who would look at you and they would think because of what you look like, or where you work, that that's who you are. There are people who work as an honest person who are crooked. There are people who look crooked who are honest. You know, when you look at actors, a lot of times some actors are so good we think that's who they are. You know, have you ever seen a person who acts so nice in movies and TV, and when you meet them, they want the meanest and nastiest person you ever want to meet? You see athletes, and you know they're such great people. You look up to them, you admire them, and when you meet them, they don't like nobody. They act that way. Their profession requires them to look a certain way. People just assume based off of who they are and what they do, that's who they are, but that's not who they are. So I thought it was interesting that his name meant innocent, and people assumed that he was a thief and a crook. And when he got to Jesus, and he told Jesus, if I have defrauded anybody, I would pay them back 4 times more than what I did. And I thought that was interesting because I never paid that no attention. Well, I ain't gonna say I never paid no attention, but I never saw it like I did this time. Because I truly believe off of that statement now, Zacchaeus had no idea that people thought that he was cheating people. People wanted to, he probably thought, why people always think I'm such a bad guy? I believe Zacchaeus really was honest in his dealings. Have you ever been accused of doing something and you didn't do it? And everybody just started believing based off what other people said? I truly believe now with his name, because see, names meant something back then to people. You know, you didn't get a name just because it sounded good. You got a name because people wanted to have you to be something of significance. So that name being Zacchaeus and knowing that meant innocent, that's the reason I believe he became chief tax collector. You need somebody who wasn't going to steal. You need somebody, because he was in an environment around a lot of other people who did. So I said, wow, this, if I've defrauded anybody of anything. I truly believe now, he never thought that, he never believed, I truly believe that he knew he didn't steal. But if he did it by mistake, if he did it unknowingly based off of what his predecessors were doing and he was just doing his job, he was willing to pay him back 4 times as much. Because there are times we'll be doing our job and not realizing we're hurting people. I'm just doing my job. I'm just telling people what they need to know. I'm just giving people what they need. But if by chance I hurt you, I'm sorry. Let me make this up, because that's not me. My name means innocent. I'm really innocent. And by Jesus knowing that, Jesus called him out of all those people to prove to him what he was and who he was, and how Jesus came after him to let people know that he is one of mine.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Isn't that good news?
Yes.
Isn't that good news that in the midst of the wolves, in the midst of all the corruption that you could be in, Jesus could come back and call you out and say, come and follow me. And, man, who is that? Who is that? That's the reason, like a lot of times when Tisa and I go in different churches, we don't just automatically go down to the front row because we're in ministry and we're preachers. We'll find a nice, comfortable seat among anybody else. And if by chance somebody want to call us down there, if we feel like going down, we will. But if we don't, we won't. But at least we was in a position where we wouldn't be embarrassed if we went down to the front and somebody of higher stature came and, oh, excuse me, I need to move out the way. This seat's for somebody more important.
Watch out.
I love how Jesus calls Zacchaeus out.
Yeah.
Called him out amongst other tax collectors who talked about him, called him out among other citizens who talked about him, and went to his house. And he said, hurry up. Jesus told him to get in a hurry.
Yeah.
So when Jesus come by and when Jesus call you, don't be, well, I'm going to go to church next Sunday. Come this Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Bible study the next week. Read it now.